I think the single most important issue is the one that's already there on the radar, which is how do you maintain public support for the project? Back in the beginning, it was the aftermath of war and this simple but clever, radical notion that you stop people going to war by binding their economies together so that it becomes impossible, has worked extremely well. We see it now with Brexit, that extricating yourself from it shows how intertwined everybody is. But public support, not just in the UK, but across the European Union, has dwindled. And ultimately, the project does depend on public support, and that depends on convincing people that the ethos of the European Union, what it stands for, its values, as well as what it delivers in terms of economic success, that those things remain as important and relevant and impactful now as they were 50 or 60 years ago.
The single most important issue in 3 years' time will be whether the European member states and Europe collectively can find a solution to adjust to globalization and technological change. That will be the main challenge going forward.
I think what really concerns me is the revival of nationalism within Europe. It's something that we've already seen, but it's something that I fear is going to, if anything, get worse. In 3 years' time, we could be seeing a situation where the Brexit negotiations for Britain to leave have actually broken down in tears. And one might see both sides actually storming off in a huff and trying to find, if you like, nationalist responses, single nation responses to the problems. But we're seeing it also in countries in Central and Eastern Europe, where you have the rise of nationalism in Hungary or in Poland, countries facing huge transitional problems from the old authoritarian system of communism to democracy. And in that growing process, I think some of the old dangers of nationalism are returning to us. And that worries me because behind it all is the world of information that is emerging through the internet, through social media, the world that has been called fake news. And it's not just fake news, it's people only listening to the sort of news and information that reinforces their prejudices. So we're seeing, if you like, a fragmentation of societies where people are much more divided and much more angrily divided than they were. And I think these are huge challenges for Europe, because Europe, in a way, has tried to provide the answer to nationalisms by creating a form of national integration. And also, it undermines the political process if we can't trust the information we're being given. So those are my greatest concerns.
I think one of the big challenges facing Europe is really going to be to generate sustainable economic growth. And when you have sustainable economic growth, every other challenge you face really falls away, or it certainly falls into the background. And whether it's wage growth, and people have been frustrated about that, whether it's issues around the environment and the need to cope with that, whether it's issues around employment, unemployment, if we can get that right, everything else follows. And if we can't get that right, we're in a real problem. And that means we're probably going to be depending more upon government-driven growth, which I don't think is sustainable. It means we could end up with the wrong kinds of growth, maybe in environmentally unfriendly ways. It means we could end up with sort of growth that nobody's going to be happy with. And it's going to be a real problem in the longer term. So the great news is there's actually possibilities of that coming. A lot of it's going to come through technology. A lot of it's going to come through information flows.